Remember this breakout on Bitcoin and altcoins back here in November? Right now, Bitcoin and altcoin chart signaling that a very similar breakout is setting up right now. I'm going to show you what that looks like on the short term, the resistance that is in the way for Bitcoin and altcoins. Hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in. I want to start really quickly with just this brief news because this plays into kind of the shorter term price action. White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett, expect tariff news by the end of the day. What news is it? How big is it? Will it happen? These are all things that might be actually moving price a little bit into this resistance area on the short term, but these are things that could actually play into the mid and longer term path of the cycle. I want to start on gold because this is very notable. We've been discussing this on the YouTube channel. Last cycle, before the bull market, gold was going parabolic. I have it very zoomed out on the daily just to really paint the picture. Gold was going parabolic. And when it topped out and started falling in September, or this is August 2020, this was basically the setup for the crypto bull run. That is altcoin bull market, Bitcoin bull market, everything. Right now, gold topping out on this daily chart. And the other thing I do want to point to your attention as we start pivoting into Bitcoin and altcoin charts is this. This move back here was gold topping out in a different sense, right, in terms of where we are in the cycles. But right now, we're getting a very similar move. And what was this? This was October, preceding the November breakout. So right now, gold kind of signaling something very similar. So that is something to pay attention to. Let's go to Bitcoin on the weekly, and then we're really going to dive into the short-term resistance. It is very good to be careful of a throwback. I'll show you exactly what a throwback will look like for all these charts. But on the weekly chart right now, everybody, we've been tracking this RSI breakout of this lower high trend line. We've talked about a lot how if we look back on the charts, when we're getting this move, Bitcoin is getting ready to do something powerful, parabolic. And so far, we've gotten this breakout of that trend line, and we've had 4 weekly green candles thus far. We've not broken all-time highs just yet, but this could be the setup for it. Notice last time when Bitcoin was breaking this weekly lower high area, you see Bitcoin finally breaking above the 20-week moving average, but then there was weeks of consolidation and even falling below the 20-week moving average in that candle right there. Right now, we have our first weekly candle above the 20-week moving average. It's kind of getting that separation. We might have some volatility still. So I just want to say, be careful, but this is a very good signal for Bitcoin on the macro. But if we start zooming in, what does the resistance look like? This is what it's looking like. So let me kind of add these moving average lines back onto the chart. Right now, Bitcoin is entering the resistance phase that I kind of have been watching for. It's very simple. It's a lower high Fibonacci, the all-time high to the high fear event, swing low in the 70s. And it's just this range, like 101,000 to around 96, 97,000. Here's what's kind of cool, besides the fact that we're entering a really nice range to just watch and be cautious of resistance, no matter what previous charts did, this is just a very good area to start paying attention, right? We might get resistance and we might get a throwback to moving averages down here. But what's really cool about it is we have so many similarities. We even just looked at gold, for instance, in the end of October. So many similarities right now in the Bitcoin chart. The 20 crossing above the 50, and Bitcoin also approaching a lower high Fibonacci. So back then, this is what it looked like. Swing high back here to swing low. There's the lower high Fibonacci out of that 8-month consolidation range. And you can see Bitcoin was kind of like battling with that area on this chart. So if you really look at the charts right now, we're kind of like right here, right? Testing the Fibonacci. But notice what Bitcoin did back then. It pulled back. We saw a throwback to the 50, the 20. And so when we go to the charts now, it's a very nice move, similar to what was happening here, right? I'm sure everybody getting excited there, but we're just now testing that lower high Fibonacci range. So with that being said, what are we waiting for? Well, we're waiting for a move like this where we're breaking out of the range, obviously. But on the short term, we should very realistically also anticipate that this range up to around, it's around $102,000 could be resistance, whether that's now and we're starting to just fall back down to these moving averages or not. It's becoming important, right? Even if you look at this move, the upper end resistance, we threw back to the 20-day moving average. And that was right after the 20 crossed above the 200, that green above the red. So we're about to get that move now. The 20 above the red, right? Last time we had a kind of a throwback to the 20-day moving average. Bitcoin falling into the lower 90s, even the upper 80s. You can notice mid 80s is the 50. That's in play. Be cautious. What we see playing out right here on these charts, even if we get a throwback, this is very bullish that we're testing these areas right now. It's very bullish that we're coming out of this record-breaking high fear environment, and this is happening. Let's go over and look at altcoins. This is excluding Bitcoin. What I want to kind of pay attention to here is very similar to what we were just looking at on the Bitcoin charts, because this is going to give us a very nice anticipation of what is in store potentially to the upside, but it's also going to give us that short-term caution. Let me start with the short-term caution, and then let's look at the upside. So short-term caution is this. After all this consolidation that we just saw, record-breaking fear, very similar fear that we saw in August 2024. We've been discussing that a lot. So very similar capitulation. The 20-day finally getting ready to cross above the 50-day. So that green above the blue. Here's what happened last time. That green above the blue, end of September. So very similar area that we were just looking at on the Bitcoin charts. Here's what altcoins were doing. 20 crossing above, boom, right? Not tons of weekly candles or red daily candles, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost a week of red candles, right? Just big resistance, and then boom, we're falling into a higher low, and actually even falling below the moving averages. So to give a sense, maybe we go up a little bit more on altcoins, and then boom, we have to anticipate higher low. We have to anticipate choppiness. We can't just, anytime we get a nice little green daily candle, get all excited. The bull market's here, bull market's starting. I will say this though, we can start pivoting to the upside. I don't think the bull market has happened yet. I think on the mid to macro, the bull market is setting up right now. And so for a long-term person, this is just phenomenal. This is phenomenal data. And so whether it's, we're getting the choppiness on the short term or not, this move is setting up, in my opinion. And so with that being said, what that means is there is a ton of upside. Notice how this move here was breaking the previous swing high. There is a ton of upside for altcoins right now to go into this bull market. And it's, I have to just do this because I've been doing this. How could I not chart M2 liquidity? This is what's in store. So if we follow this trend, this yellow trend line that you see here, that's M2 global liquidity. And if altcoins follow this, altcoins are about to soar. That doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow, but right now markets are testing key areas. And for altcoins, I think even, we have the Fibonacci on Bitcoin, but for altcoins, I think a really nice range right now, if altcoins are going to even make any type of attempt of a breakout, the 200-day moving average, like $1.2 trillion. Right? That's a nice area. Anywhere up into that area, we could see resistance for this chart. Maybe we make it to the area and there's some resistance. Maybe it's sideways. Maybe it's a big throwback. I don't know. But I should sum this video up by also saying short-term news. If it's very bullish, this could be big for all of these resistance areas being broken. If it ends up not playing out bullish as bullish news or just not happening at all, this could be very big for the potential throwback that we discussed. Either way, everybody, macro investors like myself, I'm just extremely bullish on the macro. On the short term, it's clear there can be short-term volatility, so anticipate that as well. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I really appreciate all of you cruising through. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.